All right, just waiting for the stream to go live, guys. I think it's almost there. Give me one quick second. We should be on now. So in this video, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting and growth hormone increases, and that's links and connections with autophagy. So I'm just going to check into the feed as I always do in these live streams. Make sure that you all can hear me okay, that you can see me okay, that I'm not out of focus or anything weird along those lines, and it looks like we are on, which is really, really cool. So how do we sound? How do we look? Hopefully all is good in the hood. Okay, so let's dive into it, friends. And I think this is a really important topic because I know so many of you are interested in understanding how the different mechanisms associated with nutritional ketosis, intermittent fasting, and now there's a huge interest, and myself, I'm personally very interested in the mechanisms associated with autophagy. And I just want to share with you, and it looks like I'm blurry here, but my autofocus, man, lately is out of whack. So you guys are just, maybe you're going to have to deal with that. I don't know why it's not focusing in on me, so I'm a tad bit blurry, but we're just going to make do with it. So hopefully we can work with it. So this is a picture that you're going to see right here, and this shows after 2 days of fasting, there's an increased pulsation from the hypothalamus to trigger these growth hormone precursor type peptides that increase the release of growth hormone, increase about 5-fold. So just 2-day fasts increase growth hormone 5-fold. Now you might be wondering, why would the body have that occur? Why would growth hormone increase during fasting? And it actually is really interesting because it ties into everything we've talked about on this channel so far about how we're kind of becoming more metabolically flexible. We're causing this metabolic switch between relying upon glucose oxidation for most cell energy, particularly muscle tissue cell and so forth, pivoting that to more fatty acid oxidation. Well, it turns out that growth hormone, if you look on this slide, and let me just maximize it a little bit so you guys can see this, guys and gals can see this a little bit better. So basically what you're seeing is growth hormone serves kind of 3 main purposes. It helps the body better overcome those symptoms and feelings of hypoglycemia. So it makes people, so sometimes people say, I tried a ketogenic diet, or I tried intermittent fasting and I just felt shaky, I felt irritable, I was hangry, low blood sugar. Well, it could be because you don't have adequate growth hormone release. And it's kind of paradoxical because most people that need and would benefit from a ketogenic diet and lifestyle, intermittent fasting, and or time-restricted feeding, and even exercise, don't have adequate fasting and or exercise-induced release in growth hormone. So let me just say that again because I think it's so powerful. The very people that would benefit from growth hormones' effects tend to have suppression in their growth hormone release. And this is why there's this big vicious cycle of people that are overweight. It becomes more and more challenging. So I'm going to share with you at the end some tools that may help with that. Okay, so what growth hormone does is it helps the body to increase gluconeogenesis. So it helps to liberate blood sugar. It helps to create the symptoms of hypoglycemia. It helps to ameliorate that. It helps the body spare lean muscle mass. This is really important because we know that when we fast, we do kind of get some issues with muscle mass proteolysis. This is why we do see thyroid hormone levels decreasing with fasting temporarily. And so it seems that growth hormone helps to spare lean muscle mass, helps to prevent proteolysis. And gosh, am I totally out of focus here? I swear my camera should have an autofocus, man. I don't know what's going on with that, so I apologize if I am just a touch blurry. So we got that factor, and then what we also have, and I think that this is the biggest thing that growth hormone does, is it helps to liberate fatty acids from the adipocytes, so it enhances so-called lipolysis. Basically, this means just like splitting up fat cells so that it can be utilized, and those fatty acids can be utilized directly to burn energy, to make energy in the form of beta oxidation, or secondarily to make ketones. And many of you are interested in ketones and ketone synthesis. So I'm going to check into the feed here just to make sure that we're good. Hey from Naples, hey from Wales. Does growth hormone help with sleep? It does help with sleep. It helps with a lot of different things, even muscle recovery. And this is one of the things, folks like Layne Norton and other people are talking about how, yeah, fasting may increase growth hormone, but it doesn't increase muscle protein synthesis. And there's a lot of great papers by this D.A. Freiberg. I didn't have a chance to put them in here, but there's been several papers that have shown that growth hormone increases muscle protein synthesis, tendon and joint recovery, and things along those lines. And so this is why many bodybuilders and fitness athletes, they utilize growth hormone, particularly when they're dieting, to help to maintain lean muscle mass. So growth hormone does a lot of really unique things. Okay, so if I back up, that seems to make it better. Does it? I guess I'm not that out of focus. And I know you all watching the replay get so annoyed when I have these camera things, but this is just how it is when we're live. So growth hormone does a lot of really cool stuff. And as you know by now, growth hormone has increased under fasting. And I'm going to share with you a slide here that shows that there's a correlation between growth hormone and leptin, which I think is, you know me, I love leptin. And so I've been diving into some of these studies for our Autophagy Enhancer Masterclass. And this was one that I thought was interesting. So as as leptin went down through 4-day fast, growth hormone increased. And that to me was really interesting. So there could be some relationship there, between adipocytes, leptin, and growth hormone. And so I think that's particularly interesting as well. More on that to come, because I literally haven't had a chance to dive into some of that. But this is that paper that I was telling you about, where the very people that would benefit the most from growth hormone and its associated effects in terms of enhancing adipocyte lipolysis, preservation of lean muscle mass, making the symptoms of hypoglycemia more. Whoa, got a bug. Whew. Man, got a bug flying around here. I think it was a mosquito. So obese individuals, for whatever reason, tend to have a fasting-induced suppression in growth hormone and a post-exercise induced suppression in growth hormone. All right, mosquito, get out of here, man. All right, you guys are witnessing real unedited stuff here. That's kind of why I like the live stuff. I know it's not as high quality, but then you get to see all the weird stuff like mosquitoes trying to bite me when I'm making a video. So obese individuals who would really benefit from the positive effects that growth hormone offers, it seems that for whatever reason, there's an issue in growth hormone in overweight individuals. More on that to come. But let's go back to this slide right here, because it has to do with autophagy. And this is what's really important. So as many of you know, if you're enrolled in our Autophagy Enhancer Masterclass, we spend a lot of time talking about the molecular mechanisms that increase autophagy. And you know that most cells have some sort of basal level of autophagy occurring at pretty much any given time. There's a circadian element to autophagy, and autophagy may be enhanced and most upregulated first thing in the morning, after we've been fasting for hopefully 12, 14, 16 hours along those lines. But autophagy is also tightly regulated by growth factors and nutrient excess or nutrient deprivation. And so one of the nutrient factors that actually inhibits autophagy is a growth factor, insulin-like growth factor 1, and also just a lot of energy, a lot of glucose and insulin and so forth via mTOR stimulation. So IGF-1 inhibits autophagy. Here's what's really interesting is when you're fasting, you inhibit IGF-1, and IGF-1 and growth hormone, there is some end product inhibition, meaning that when IGF-1 is high, growth hormone is low. When IGF-1 is low, growth hormone is high. Okay, so that's what's really interesting. This is the interconnectedness between another mechanism where we can induce autophagy by having basically IGF-1 suppression. So this is why I think it's important to understand your glucose ketone index in the context of evaluating how you feel when you're fasting and when you're on a ketogenic diet. Because, now hear this out. So if you have a low glucose and high ketone levels, that's going to be a lower TKI, right? So I think it's around like a real good TKI, realistically around 2, 1.8, something like that is really kind of pushing it. If you get close to 1, you're a rock star. Most people aren't able to do that, but so keep in mind, that. But basically, if you feel okay when there's not a lot of glucose circulating, that part of that means that obviously you're fat adapted. Your cells are able to utilize the ketones made by your liver. They're able to transport them through the monocarboxylate transporters into your tissues like the brain and so forth. But also that you have growth hormone around to help to have the feelings of hypoglycemia not be so drastic and dramatic. So that's, to me, what I think is really interesting about growth hormone. And so that's kind of part of the reason that we can kind of extrapolate and look at our glucose and ketone numbers simultaneously to see if we're cranking ketones and we're thriving in a low glucose environment. And then secondarily, we know that mTOR inhibition can be achieved when there is mTOR is not going to be activated when there's no IGF-1 around. And we know that when we're fasting, IGF-1 is not around, and that's part of this end product inhibition, whereas growth hormone is high because IGF-1 is low. IGF-1 is low, autophagy is high. So we can basically say, and that's kind of the whole point of this video, is there's a correlation between high growth hormone, fasting, and autophagy. And so that's why, again, when you look at people that practice intermittent fasting on a regular basis, they generally look younger. They're more vibrant. They're stronger. Their recovery is better. Things like that. I think it goes back to, this particular slide where just a few days, 2 days of fasting led to a 5-fold increase in the release of growth hormone precursors and peptides, neuropeptides, GnRH, and things like that. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you guys. It's Friday, and we do have a great promotion going on this weekend. Over 20% off on a lot of our formulas over at MYOXCIENCE.com. Use the promo code HIH. And if you like Amazon, if you like shopping on Amazon, a lot of our formulas are on sale over there, particularly the protein powder. Guys, we have some grass-fed, grass-finished whey protein concentrate that's rich in immunoglobulins that support immune health and gut health. So check those out. Links are below. We also have a new MCT oil powder that's great for traveling. So all those links, David says, mosquitoes are fun. Okay, so let's get to some questions here. I just want to see here how you guys are doing. And as always, if you like these informal videos, you can hit that like button. That just lets me know that I should do more. And trust me, I have a ton of interviews coming. The last couple of weeks have been so crazy. I'm a little bit behind on edits, but we have some really good stuff coming for you all. So what do we have here? What sort of questions do we have? I have time for just a few questions here. And as always, friends, thanks for being here. And if you're new to the channel, new to the lives, these lives are just schedule them about an hour ahead of time. I don't do a ton of prep. I'm like reading all the time. But if you're wondering why sometimes the camera's like, I don't even know why the camera's not focusing on me. Hello, camera. What the hell's going on with this thing? Anyway, let's see here. So MT Expert says, when I fast to get that level of GKI, I am seeing massive reduction in fatty tumors I have been reducing in size. Interesting. That's super interesting. Jen Lindquist, the code is HIH for high intensity health over at our website, MYOXCIENCE.com. Again, so the sale on the whey protein powder, the suggested retail on this whey protein powder, friends, is $93 a bottle. You can now get it for $57 a bottle. I recommend obviously getting protein from whole raw food, but if you're like me, sometimes, you're full or bloated. Sometimes you want to make like a high protein dessert. That's really where we use it the most in our family, where we're like, you know what? I'm craving ice cream, but I don't want the crappy sugar that comes with ice cream. So you can take some coconut milk and get it cool, mix in some whey protein, like 2 or 3 blueberries, and you have an amazing dessert. I'm not even kidding you guys. Melissa in the house, what's happening? Thanks for being here. I have something I need to share with you, Melissa. So all right, this should help with the autofocus because I'm like right in the middle. Gosh, if you're watching the replay, you're like totally annoyed and probably are already watching something else at this point. Okay. Kinjo51 says, down 43 pounds, 24-hour fasting, 4-hour eating window, keeping my carbohydrate allotment to about 25 or less, but I'm finding my cognition is a bit off, 7 days per week. So I'm so glad that you're losing all the weight and you're doing well. That's a very small window, but do what works for you. So how long have you been doing this? It says a week. Okay, so cognition is off. I would work with a healthcare expert on that. Is the cognition related to hypoglycemia? I don't know enough about exactly what you're experiencing, but that's a very small window. I'm not sure. I would say one thing that you can do, actually, this is something that I'm going to be sharing with you a lot more about, is your omega-3 index. So the levels of your EPA, DHA in your body, your tissue levels of your healthy omega-3 fats actually correlates with cognitive scores. So if you are having cognitive issues, you might want to check your omega-3 index. And that's one of the things we do have a money-back guarantee on our fish oils because they reproducibly and reliably increase your omega-3 index. If you're not familiar with the work by Bill Harris and the omega-3 index, you want to become familiar with that. We're going to do a lot more education around that. But this is just a very inexpensive way to increase the malleability of your cells. And that's why in our Autophagy Enhancer Supplement Bundle, we have omega-3s in there. Why? Because the process of autophagy requires cell membranes to occur. And so if you're like constantly breaking down your cell membranes, you want to get new cofactors that, basically build your cell membranes. So there's some actually good research too on the omega-3 fats and how they affect autophagy. So keep that in mind, Kinjo, but I would say you got to work with a healthcare practitioner if you're feeling like your cognition is off. So Angie says she's going to go take a look at the protein powder right after you sign off. Yeah, totally. So we love protein from real whole food. Like I mentioned, that's what we have backyard chickens. We have, pigs. Unfortunately, they might have to go. So protein from whole real food, but the dessert idea is great. It's good for kids because sometimes, your kids are like picky eaters. Like they love eggs one day, then the next day they don't want them. You're like trying to think of ways to get them to eat healthier food so you can hide things in the protein, which is good. ViewSpot, any tips on resolving sleep issues when you're in intermittent fasting? This is a really good question. This comes up a lot. I personally struggle with this. After about 48 hours of fasting, man, it's really hard for me personally to sleep. So there's a lot of things that you can do, but I would say make sure that your circadian rhythms are on point, and so you're rising and falling at the, going to bed and waking at the same time every day. The days that you're fasting, go overboard to get good sunlight exposure. So just get outside during the middle of the day. Sunlight, as does exercise, enhances sleep pressure, meaning it will help you to fall asleep better. Of course, take this with a grain of salt because I do own the company MYOXCIENCE, but I love our Myo Relax and Calm because it's part electrolyte, part sleep promoting. So you got the myo-inositol, the theanine, GABA, and taurine, along with the myo-inositol and magnesium to help you really kind of get your electrolytes and help enhance sleep. So that's been pretty effective because the oral GABA helps to kind of mitigate some of that feeling of the norepinephrine in the periphery. And so there's some good research on that. Plus L-theanine helps there. So that's something that I do when I'm fasting. I'll take more of that, like 4 or even 5 scoops before bed. So, we have Zara in the house. She says, hey, Mike, you're amazing. Thanks for that. Hope you come to Australia soon. I see people talking at breakfast at 4 p.m. for the best time, but I thought 12 p.m. would be more in circadian rhythm. And she says, I eat at 12 p.m. and again at 5 p.m. So I think, I shared a post yesterday, and Antonio Pawalo is a researcher in Italy. He's been doing a lot of reviews on the circadian biology as it is linked with our metabolism. And one of the things that he found is that eating earlier in the day not only leads to better blood sugar regulation and appetite control, but it tends to, have an improvement. Studies show this with regard to deep sleep. And I shared just some anecdotal stuff from back when I wanted to be a pro cyclist and I was training in Boulder, racing with pros and training with pros and all that sort of stuff. And, the mantra back then was eat early, sleep early. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys because, unlike physique athletes, figure competitors, bodybuilders, where really strength is not a relevant component to doing well or succeeding in those sports, in cycling, strength is obviously very relevant, as is being lean. So it's a nice way to kind of look at eating to fuel your body so that you can maintain strength and muscle mass, but not put on the fat. And so again, eating earlier in the day, sleeping earlier, and so not eating close to bedtime. That, my friends, also links back to autophagy because we know that autophagy oscillates on a circadian rhythm. We know that if we eat close to bed, not only is our sleep screwed up, but our morning blood sugars are elevated. We probably still have residual long-tail insulin being released because insulin is released in a pulsatile manner. There's the first phase and second phase. A lot of people don't know about this. They just think insulin's an all or nothing thing, but insulin has pulsatile releases. It's crazy, right? So, if you eat a big meal before you go to bed, you're sitting on that. Your digestion is slow. Maybe you're still releasing glucose and so forth during the night, and you have this long-tail insulin release. And guess what? That can inhibit autophagy, which should be upregulated when you're in the morning. Okay, whey protein equal increased glutathione. Angie, yeah, I mean, there is some good data. And that's why, as a company, MYOXCIENCE, we offer the whey protein concentrate. There's a lot of companies out there selling whey protein isolates. Isolates do not have as high of a level as the immunoglobulins, the lactoferrin, the transferrin, things along those lines that are healthy for increasing glutathione. And so keep that in mind. Obviously, there is some sulfur-containing amino acids in the whey protein that can help there, but yeah, so Zara says the cherry Maya Relax and Calm is delicious. We also, friends, do have a new unflavored version as well if you're interested in. Ben says, tell your neighbors you'll give them some amazing pork when you're ready to slaughter them. As long as you can keep them till you're ready. Ben, that is a good idea. I don't think they're going to fall for that. Oh, good idea. Yeah, so Flossie Flea 2 says, yeah, like in this time, not too late for Europe. So that's cool. So we can be here on a Friday. I think that this is the first time that I've done a live stream in a while on a Friday. I normally try and do them like Sunday, sometimes Saturday, sometimes Monday. But if you all like it on a Friday, we can do it on a Friday. And let me just refresh here. So that's it, guys. So this growth hormone topic, isn't it exciting? For me, I think it's really exciting. And I just need to be totally honest and give my wife some credit here. If her skin health was not dramatically improving and she's putting on more muscle now compared to when she used to eat all the time, I probably would have blown this off. I tend to be very skeptical of new ideas. I was skeptical of keto. I was skeptical of a lot of stuff. And then, this fasting-induced increase in growth hormone, I was skeptical of that too. And I'm seeing some crazy changes in recovery and everything, eating less and training the same or even harder. So I think it's pretty exciting stuff, guys. The body is pretty amazing. And now we have the data there to kind of support that. So let me clear this layer. I've been having that that whole time I had that image up there and I didn't even realize it. So friends, super excited that you were here. If you enjoy these lives, hit that like button. And if you want to take advantage of some amazing formulas, we have a spring sale going on this weekend. Links are below. Please use the promo code HIH. There's some things that are already on sale. You can save an extra 20% off with that coupon code. And if you like Amazon, if you like shopping on Amazon, things are on sale over there, but it expires Sunday, guys. So take advantage of that. Got some good interviews coming. Appreciate you as always for tuning in. And have a good weekend. We'll be in touch, I'm sure. Bye.